All right. Hello,
Everybody.
everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Let's see. Who are we missing? Um, is Molly,
Brad. So I
is
think Molly couldn't come, right?
right. Molly was the
Um,
only one who couldn't come.
okay. Um,
Okay. All right. Let us call the meeting to order. It is 7:01. I do not see any public, so we will if a public comes and wants to comment, we will let them comment when they come. Let's move on to the building committee meeting minutes of May 27th. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes? Everybody's on mute.
I will make a
um,
motion to approve the minutes.
That
Dale.
was Dale. Do I hear a second?
I'll second, Stephen.
Okay. Any corrections or changes that went beyond? Penny, did you get the number?
I got your comments. I got Stephen's comments. I did not get a number. So I deleted that. I modified that statement to exclude it. I do have an outstanding question. It's a trivial thing, but Stephen caught it. I don't know who seconded the motion to accept ATC's bid um, for AV. Anyone remember seconding that motion?
No.
No.
So it must have been Brad or Molly.
Must be Brad or, I mean, Molly, Brad is a really good seconder.
I
But,
think you can just leave it out. I went looking for the recording and I didn't see it on YouTube, and then the
yeah,
phone rang or
I
something.
looked
So,
as well.
yeah.
Okay, so thanks to those who caught a few mistakes.
Okay. All right. Based on those few corrections, are we ready to vote? Anything else? I'll take a roll call vote here.
Antonellis, aye.
Dale Masai.
Pool, aye.
Jake's eye.
Acombo aye.
Leo, aye. Okay, minutes are approved. All right, so update on the construction progress. Thank you for the great information sheet on the progress. I really appreciate that, the progress report. Did everyone receive that?
Yes, and thank you. That was very helpful to look at before the meeting.
Yes. So are there any questions on the progress report? Would you like to summarize, Roger, quickly on what the progress is?
Sure, since our last meeting, but not too long ago, but they've continued with site work. They installed the tight tank and the pump chamber for the septic towards the septic system, but just outside of the building. They installed the last catch basin down by the street, and that was done avoiding the existing well lines, the water lines and the conduit. So that worked out very well. Next step, I guess, is when they do the pole, they'll have to do a little exploratory digging just to confirm that it's within the narrow area we think it is now. And they proceeded to do some more grading and bringing in material for a base for the entrance drive and a little bit around the building. As far as the building itself, they've done most of the metal roofing. There was one area that had a little deflection in it, so they're going to rework those last 12 panels or so and try to shim them so that it's an aesthetic issue. It's not going to affect the warranty or the workmanship or the weatherproof of it, but it's just an aesthetic issue. Hopefully can get alleviated. And as far as the building itself, the interior, we had the electrical inspection for rough electrical. That was fine. The building inspector was there today and gave Mark the go-ahead to begin insulating the interior partitions and putting the second face of plywood on the shear walls.
Excellent.
HVAC work, duct work and stuff is continuing, along with the hydronic piping to those HVAC units that are hung. Um, Plumbing, rough plumbing is done. So once the drywall is put up and things, and they can come back and do the fixtures and such, and some of the more the pump equipment and water tanks and such. The slate and the wood siding on the mock-ups should be done anytime soon. Um,
When is Dominic coming out to look at those? Do you know?
I don't know. It would depend when they're installed and ready for them. And I don't think he's planning on next week if it's not ready.
Right.
Um,
When, has the, water line from the well to the building been brought?
that is all of about 20 feet away from the well, just because of the wet soil conditions. They weren't going to dig in there for the last little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the electric duct bank is in about 100 feet of it from the transformer pad towards the road, and also the same area where the communications conduit branches off, and that's in place up to the building.
Mm-hmm.
And
Roger,
once it stops
Roger.
raining again, they'll be back to do some more of the duct bank.
So Roger, at this time, we have all of our rough inspections that are needed because HVAC is part of the building inspector.
Yeah, we don't have that yet. We just have the rough electrical and the okay from the building inspector to begin insulating the interior walls.
Okay, so there's a separate rough for the HVAC.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the engineers were out Monday for their walkthrough, and we'll get the field report from them by the end of the week. They didn't see anything of critical importance to note, so we'll just see what they say in their report. Any questions?
Any word from National Grid?
No, but taking one obstacle away from them with the trees not being in the way anymore.
All right. Dale, you looked like you wanted to ask something?
No, well, possibly. I'm just wondering, what Jeff's opinion is on, the timeline. If he thinks that, we're really, 6 weeks behind, or if it's further, and,
Is Neil on this session or not?
Yeah.
He is, yep.
Okay. All right. In my opinion, looking at the schedule and their schedule shows them still 6 weeks behind schedule. And based on the quantity of work that's taken place and not taking place, I'm not convinced they're going to meet the schedule that they've given us already. So at the present time, I think they're 6 weeks behind or more.
thank you.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question after we discuss the progress report that's more related to budget. So that will be related to this too.
Okay.
Anything else on the progress report? This was great. Thank you so much, Roger. It was very helpful. Okay, going on, I would like to go to the projected budget, the project budget that was also attached. And my question that I would like to lead in with is to Neil. we keep saying it's 6 weeks, and we know that Construction Dynamics can't charge us more or won't be charging us more for that 6 weeks. But how much of our contingency fund do you think we are going to be spending on that 6 week plus delay? Do you have any kind of idea?
We provided fee proposals to Mary Ann several months ago, actually, from ourselves and from Odinzello.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they identified a 2 month period. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. You can probably find them and research them, but I don't have that number immediately available.
Well, I have the one from Dominic that, well, I'm wondering if, okay, his one was for 120 hours extra, and it was around $13,500, but I don't recall getting one from you.
So our original fee proposal letter, when we executed the contract, included a monthly rate for clerk coverage if we were to go over.
Okay.
And I want to say, for some reason, I want to say it was in the range of $17,000 a month. In that range.
Okay.
And I would say, to Jeff's point earlier, I've told Mary Ann I don't think she should intend on occupying that building until sometime in October. And that's kind of where I stand. So I think we're at least 6 to 8 weeks out. And glass half full, we have all of our rough inspections and we can start insulation and closing things in, which is always a great milestone to have. I'm just not sure we're out of the woods yet.
What do you mean by occupying the building?
You can move in.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
So occupying the building means us bringing furniture in, bringing books and everything in, and starting that process?
Sure.
yes,
But not necessarily opening to the public.
no.
No.
So we're talking late October for opening to the public, probably?
Mary Ann has impressed upon me heavily the importance of a pumpkin event that she has planned for October. And I'm pretty sure that if I don't have pumpkins lined up outside that building, I'm going to be in deep sneakers. And I don't necessarily want to go there.
You're gonna be one of the pumpkins.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking just now. I wasn't thinking it before, but that's a happy thought for me. So, okay.
We have everybody's head hanging out there.
So
Yeah.
just to clarify, I haven't heard anything about a plumbing inspection. So are we still waiting on that one?
No,
Rough
that
plumbing
can't
is.
I think we got the rough plumbing inspection a couple of weeks ago. It was one of the
Correct.
first ones, Dale.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So,
So at the present time, their schedule that they gave us 2 weeks ago has certificate of occupancy September 12th.
mhm.
So
I think we're going to be closer to October 1.
yeah, I think or
If-
more.
If Eversource was at the end of the driveway, ready to land the leads and live in the building, I might feel differently, but we're not there yet. They haven't even set the pole.
Right.
Is that one of the biggest hangups?
No, well, it is a
It,
hang-up.
it certainly will be at the rate National Grid is moving. Absolutely.
But I mean, it's not causing delay in the construction right
No.
now.
No, not now.
How do you light a fire under them? I mean, they seem notoriously unresponsive, not just with this, but with other things here in town.
Penny, if I knew how to do that, I could retire and consult.
You could be a fire starter.
Yeah, exactly.
National Grid.
Yep.
I don't think
It's
anybody lights a fire under the utilities in any way for any reason at any point on any project.
I have to say, I was successful with my house because I called up and I said, I have my elderly parents who are in an apartment where the lease is ending and they need to move in, and they got someone out there the next day. So
Okay.
if you have elderly people who need to move in, that might be the lighting of the fire. But other than that, and they had their Eversource had their net zero energy conference last week, and they had one presentation where they laid out their timelines for projects and all electric projects, and it is like 40 weeks, like
Yeah.
unbelievable. So
Well, we got the elderly part down, but not the move.
Yeah.
I'll say we're moving in.
I
Yeah.
fall into the elderly category.
So
Single.
just for the committee's edification, this project with the inclusion of the PV system is really two steps. Not only do we have to have the permanent power turned on so that we can energize the building, we also have to have all the infrastructure in place with the PV array that we can backfeed the grid from the building. And from what I am told, that process is no easier than
Right.
getting power turned on to the building. So we have both edges of the sword that we have to get through in Shutesbury to move it forward. And
Right.
to Roger's credit and to the team's credit, they are on top of it. Mary Ann has placed calls on our behalf to the power company and to her contacts there to make sure they realize that we are both ready, willing, and able. And their latest non-performance excuse was the presence of two 3-inch trees at the end of the driveway within the area of their pole anchor, I believe. And those trees, Mary Ann reached out, contacted the owner, and got permission and had the town take those trees down to get them out of their way.
Yep. There's nothing stopping them now.
Right.
Is there any value in contacting our state legislators about this?
I think that's a local decision. I think if I would defer to Mary Ann's judgment. We literally just took those trees down this week. They were on site last week, identified the problem. They went back to talk to their forestry division about trimming and removing the trees, and we just cut to the chase and took the trees down.
And they
So-
know that they're down now.
And they know that they're down. So I would like to, before you call in the National Guard, I'd like to give them the opportunity to continue their process and move the job along.
Yeah, we
Okay.
just took the trees down yesterday,
Right.
so.
So we'll give them another week before we really start hounding them again.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the construction progress?
Yeah. Let me understand. So right now the contractor's, let's say 6 weeks behind schedule. And,
Yep.
and they're asking.
Yes.
So do we have to pay for 6 more weeks of their supervision time?
So if you research Mass General Law, Chapter 149,
Right.
there's a clause in the statute that speaks to no damages for delays. And what the statute says is that a contractor's remedy is solely an extension of time and relieving them of liquidated damages as opposed to receiving compensation for the additional time. I believe the language of the statute states no matter cause or reason for delay. So whether it's their fault or somebody else's fault, they get an extension of time and they get liquidated damages or the burden of liquidated damages relieved from their contract for the extended duration.
I don't,
Okay, so
can you,
if I'm
I
understanding
don't
this,
understand what that means. So does that mean they're not held responsible at all?
If the town elects to extend their contract and relieve them of liquidated damages, there would be no obligation on their part to pay. I will tell you that they're getting, I think they're doing better than they were before. They're getting better, not worse. Just the question is whether everything will align for them moving forward.
okay, so if we grant them a 6-week schedule, they can't hit us for additional fees. But of course, we're gonna give up the $1,500 a day penalty that's sitting in the
LDs,
contract
correct.
for that 6 weeks. And if the
Yes.
project goes after that 6 weeks, we could then hit them for the $1,500 a day penalty.
Yeah, I believe, I mean, obviously to the letter of the contract, yes. I think the
Okay.
town would have to prove what the damages were. And if in fact it were to go that route. There's a lot of, Jeff, there's a lot of case law out there that limits an owner or an awarding authority's recovery to actual damages as opposed to a stated amount per day.
Mhm.
So that can work both to your advantage and to your disadvantage, depending on what the actual damages are.
Yeah, I know proving the actual damages is tough.
It is. It's not easy.
Right. But I'm kind of sitting here saying, I don't believe these guys are gonna be done in 6 weeks, and what pressure or what remedy does the town have to get these guys to finish? Because every day that they don't get done is costing us more money in your time and the designer's time.
Right.
So what leverage do we have?
So you have two leverages, right? One is liquidated damages,
Right.
and two is their DCAM evaluation at the end of the job.
Yeah, 2 weak ones. Okay. Oh, by the way, are we supposed to do a DCAM evaluation at the 50% stage?
The 50% evaluation is at the discretion of the awarding authority. It's not statutorily required, but you can do one if appropriate. I would suggest that if a failing evaluation was going to be issued for any contractor, then they should be given proper notice through a 50% evaluation, and they should be put on notice that their performance has to improve or their evaluation will suffer. That's sort of our guideline and our rule of thumb.
Okay, so how do we get the form for the 50%?
I can send it to
You
you.
can get it?
It's available online. Very easy to get.
Okay. Because I think we ought to do it. So, all right.
Okay.
Jeff, are you suggesting that they would receive a failing evaluation based on their performance thus far?
I would need to see the form. I know part of the form deals with schedule, but the form deals with other areas also.
It does.
So I would want to see how the form exists at the present.
Okay, just I would again, I would cautiously advise the town that you're going to be married to these folks for another 4 to 6 months. So I would be very careful with any shots over the bow moving forward.
Mhm. Well, we'll review it amongst all of us before we send it out. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
I will download the form and send it over to you, Jeff. And
I
I'll
appreciate it.
copy Mary Ann and Elaine if you want to circulate it to the committee.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So Neil, just because I don't understand this, can you explain to me what liquidated damages are?
So there's a clause in the contract for construction that stipulates the period of performance for the job, how long they have to finish, and how much per day the town can recover in liquidated damages in the event that they don't finish on time. And there's a burden of proof that goes along with that, that the town would have to prove that the contractor has been negligent or otherwise has not staffed or supported the job appropriately as a contributing factor to their being late with the project.
Thank you.
And the contract identifies it at $1,500 a day. Or at least the specs do.
Well, I think we've had issues about the staffing, or at least, a month or so ago. That was a very real consideration, that there didn't appear to be enough people on the job. So, I mean, I think there are points that can be taken on all of these. I think they're guilty to some degree of all of these things, but and I also think it's easier for them to just stick to the 6 week overdue portion rather than admit to anything longer now. Because if they do, we're on them, twice as hard, and it's going to be much easier for them if they don't admit being, well over or well past the 6 weeks until the very end, because that's that much less time that we're giving them a hard time.
I've explained before in and around job meetings that any published schedule that is submitted as a project document is available for discovery by any entity or any subcontractor during construction. And if a subcontractor gets wind that a request for an extension of time is up, they're going to relax and stop working towards the finish line. If a contractor puts out a schedule that holds them accountable to an earlier finish date, they're all going to work harder to get there. So it's very much a management tool as much as it is a living, breathing document that documents progress.
Thank you. I understand that.
Can I ask a question? When it started to slip, was that when you were waiting for the laminated beams and then the shear wall coordination, or was it before then?
It was before then. It was
Before
being
then, okay.
pouring the slab.
That's right. Okay.
That's when it started slipping.
Mm.
They
And
lost time. They lost time on the foundation walls. They lost time on the slab. They lost time because of the shear walls. They lost time because of weather, which is non-compensable under the terms of the contract. I mean, there's been a lot of things that have affected them.
And how many of those things did they have control over? I mean, not the weather, obviously, but
Yeah,
lost
I
time
would I would
down-
argue, Penny, that they asked a lot of questions and got a lot of answers that took several weeks to get under some circumstances. So I would say that some of it was beyond I would say a good portion of the items that I've identified were beyond their control.
Right, I understand that, thank you.
And just to their credit, there were very few days during the winter that they weren't there. It had pretty much had to be snowing or snowed overnight for the framers not to have been there. They were there in the bitter cold. So
or
they,
or high wind. There were
and that too.
There were a couple of instances that they were not able to work because of the weather whether it be safety or whether it be precipitation or otherwise. There were a handful of days over the winter that were lost. And again, that is a reasonable anticipation.
Mhm.
You get stormy weather in New England in the winter, and the contract, again, it states clearly that because of seasonal abnormalities in weather is not a reason for an extension of time.
Yeah,
But
It's-
I also recall that the original schedule that we were given, oh gosh, an eternity ago, had the building closed in before the new year.
correct.
And they didn't even start framing until
January.
January. So, well, it's certainly frustrating.
Yeah, they've been behind almost from the get-go. And I never really presented a schedule, a catch-up schedule to get themselves back on track.
I think we need to keep looking at that schedule every week at that meeting, our construction meeting, and keep asking on them on, where we're checking things off, where this is inching forward. Each one of we're gonna have to go each line by line, it seems, for the ones that were supposed to be done, each week. I think that's the way we're gonna have to ask them. And keep nagging, I guess.
Yep.
Have they mentioned a Saturday? Or that would be something that I think that you would probably present, but that's how we've seen a couple of our projects catch up as Saturday work.
Mark mentioned that, and so did Mike at one time.
Mhm.
Yeah, a few months ago.
Right, right. That it was an if they had to. He would get more crew and work on Saturdays and longer hours because it's staying light longer and so doing longer hours.
Yeah, they're
But
done at 3 o'clock, aren't they?
yeah,
So Roger, they stay,
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody staying after 3, but
No,
again, I'm there every
no.
day.
No, they have not been, not lately. The only ones really doing that were the framers. If it was a day of good weather, they took some advantage of it.
And are you aware of anybody working on Saturdays?
No, no, they
Yes.
have not.
Right.
so I guess we need to bring that up again on Monday. Happy
I
to do
drove
that.
by at 2:30 on Friday and the job site was empty.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there is some of that too.
Hmm.
And I was there last Thursday and there wasn't really anybody working on
Mhm.
inside the building end.
No, last Thursday there was no one working inside the building. Um,
There's plenty of ductwork that could be hung.
mhm.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Are they gonna start putting up the insulation and then putting the other layer of plywood on the shear walls tomorrow?
I don't believe it's tomorrow, but it could be by the end of the week.
And
That's,
then when do you think the drywall's gonna go in?
Well, remember he said on Monday that they lost another week on the drywall.
wall, but that's they're still gonna do the insulation that goes in the wall. There's acoustic insulation. Um, that goes in those. It's mostly the interior, the short perpendicular shear walls, and also the along line too. Um,
But they're not gonna be doing the inside face of the exterior walls, right?
no, not right away. No, no.
Because we want to do, we're trying to get that blower door test.
That's yeah.
Okay,
There's two things, the blower door test and then the shelving vendor needs for the drywall to be
Mhm.
finished so that they can come out and do field measurements. So.
Yeah.
with two two pressing items.
Yep.
And you saw I approved, the solar panel.
Yeah,
implement-
that's in, so,
Okay.
yes, it got in with seconds to spare, so, that's
Yeah.
good.
Just to clarify on that, Jeff, the budget update that was circulated prior to the meeting, that's reflective of bills that were processed through May 31st.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that we'll pick that one up when we do the June budget update,
right,
moving forward.
right. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
Yep.
And the panels are on site. They're under the blue tarps.
Don't tell anybody.
There's a lot of stuff on site, so,
Yeah.
yes. Andrea and Heather, when you go out on Wednesday, Elaine, show them the green slate.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
behind the building, because it's just
Yep,
gorgeous.
it's gorgeous.
It's
So,
gorgeous.
Heather, will
Yeah.
you be coming out also?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
it is-
should be.
yeah, okay.
Great, great. I'll be
So-
meeting you there.
Thank you,
Awesome. I'm
Elaine.
looking forward to it.
Yeah. Let's hope it's not raining. It's
know.
much nicer when it's
That's
not raining.
tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. And what time is the groundbreaking at in Amherst?
10 a.m., 10 to
Yeah.
11. So we think we'll probably be to you by 11:30.
Okay, I'll be on site.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up?
So I just have to, I don't have an updated quote, but with the shelving, quote, it wasn't based on prevailing wage, so I'm waiting for an update on that. I don't think it's gonna change our decision about who we go with. The AV wiring is in progress. It's mostly done. They just have to do some in the south wall in the meeting room when that wall is ready. The wiring for the security cameras is in. The US Army Corps of Engineers was supposed to mobilize next week. They was gonna arrive on Friday. And the drill rig that they had booked is out of commission, so they are delayed now until July 21st.
Wow.
They asked what the state of the construction would be at that point, and I don't really think we can say, certainly finished, the site work won't be finished. It'll all still be in progress at that point. So I told them that, but they've been delayed again. Well, this is the first delay since they've scheduled work. So that's that. That was,
Maybe the site's cursed.
Mhm.
it's no,
Mary Ann,
Stay there.
you really are gonna be a pumpkin.
Definitely.
Mary Ann, that's for gas tank mitigation?
Right,
Yes.
right, yeah. They have to go through the construction site because that's the only way to get there. So we've worked that all out. They were out for a visit last September. So the federal government has a long, complicated procurement process. And it took them a long time to get funding approved and then a contractor on board. And then they came out for a meeting last September and they've scheduled something. The good thing is it's been such a wet spring that the road that they have to travel is probably pretty wet. And maybe in another month it'll be, I mean, I haven't walked out there, but I imagine that road is pretty wet and maybe this weather pattern will change and they'll have an easier time of it, getting their equipment out there. But then we got equipment out there in all kinds of conditions. So, through spring mud. So I think they'll be fine once they get to it. And that doesn't have any impact on our project other than they need to go through it. And it's better for them to go through before our paving is complete.
I was just gonna say, let's
Mhm.
get them in there
Yeah.
before the paving.
Yes, yeah, so,
Mhm.
but if they break anything, they have to fix it, so, so, anyway. They're coming, just not yet,
Hmm.
so. Okay,
Anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Do we want to talk about next meeting before we adjourn?
I would like to, but I think without Molly and Brad, I think it's better to, I'm looking at my calendar, we're talking July. I would like to schedule it for July 22nd, if we could. That's a Tuesday night. I don't know if it's a select board meeting night or not. Let's see. 1, 2, 1, 2. It would be not, it should not be a select board meeting night, so we could do it hybrid.
Can we tentatively schedule it for that?
Let us tentatively schedule it for July 22nd. At 7 p.m. hybrid. All right.
I'll make
Now,
a motion to adjourn.
okay. Do I
Second,
hear- Okay. Roll call vote.
Antonella's eye.
Down the side.
Cool, aye.
Jake's eye.
Michael Bush, aye.
Vallejo, aye. Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you
Thank
tomorrow,
you.
Elaine.
All
See you
right.
tomorrow.
Thank you. Take care.
Night,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.